Welcome to the Divorce TV show, and we have an expert interview with our own Susan Cowe-Miller and shared story from Tommy Maloney of blending the family all the way from the USA, and we'll end up with a lovely healing meditation from Susan at the end. But we're going to move on now with the news. I'm going to begin with the Tatler. And they're talking about Sheikh Mohammed and Princess Haya's historic divorce proceedings, which are now underway. The High Court recently found that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum ordered the hacking of the phones of his ex-wife and her lawyers amid their acrimonious split. Earlier this month, news broke that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Prime Minister and Vice President of the UAE, ordered the use of spyware to tap the phones of his ex-wife, Princess Haya bint Hussein of Jordan, and her lawyers, according to the findings of London's High Court. Now, legal proceedings relating to their divorce are officially underway as the 47-year-old princess seeks a settlement following the breakdown of their marriage. The legal action, which the Times dubs the biggest divorce case in British legal history, officially began on Wednesday the 27th of October. It will see Princess Haya, the daughter of former King Hussein of Jordan and his third wife, Queen Alia, and the half-sister of the current King Abdullah II, push for a share of the 70-year-old ruler of Dubai's fortune. Over the course of a 10-day hearing, High Court Judge the Honourable Mr Justice Moore will determine a payout for the princess and the former couple's two young children with whom Haya fled to London in 2019. The youngest of the Sheikh's 6 wives, she reportedly left for the UK after her husband grew suspicious over her closeness with her British bodyguard. The Times adds that although the hearing took place with journalists present, experts have hypothesised that the settlement could break the current record of a £450 million award secured by the former wife of the billionaire Russian businessman Farhad Ahmedov, Tatiana Ahmedova, in 2017. After a lengthy back and forth, however, Ahmedova ultimately accepted a cash and art settlement worth only £150 million in July of this year, according to the Evening Standard. Haya is being represented by leading divorce lawyer Tory peer Baroness Shackleton of Belgravia, who has been called upon by a host of high-profile clients, including Sir Paul McCartney, Prince Charles and Liam Gallagher, as well as the princess herself and another of her lawyers, Nicholas Manners. Baroness Shackleton is believed to have had her phone tapped with spyware under the orders of Sheikh Mohammed, according to the ruling of Andrew McFarlane, the UK's most senior family court judge, on the 6th of October. The Sheikh denied any knowledge of the hacking. Sheikh Mohammed has previously attempted to have the case kept out of the media, but lost a legal battle after a number of publications argued that they should be able to report on it. In the wake of the phone hacking reports earlier this month, it was also rumoured that the Queen will no longer invite the Sheikh, an ardent racing enthusiast and founder of the prestigious Godolphin stables, to the Ascot Royal Box. Oh, there, that'll get him, won't it? Move to Pakistan. UCA News talks of the division of Christian divorce in Pakistan. I found this really interesting. The absence of a cohesive personal law system leaves Pakistan's minorities vulnerable and without adequate legal relief. Father Anthony Abbas was prohibited from attending consultations on Christian marriage and divorce law in Karachi Archdiocese. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Pakistan isn't satisfied about sanctioning Christian divorce directly through civil courts. Many priests are not happy about such separations. The faithful should turn to canon law. Our priority at parish level is to keep the serenity of the marriage bond. It is not our job to separate couples, he told UCA News. On October the 27th, the parish priest of St Thomas Church prepared proceedings of a divorce case for referral to Archbishop Benny Travers of Karachi, the lone canonist in the Southern Archdiocese. It's the second case in 2 years in my parish. The divorce rate is higher among the English-speaking Goan community than in the Punjabi community. We also involve community elders for reconciliation between couples, Father Abbas said. Christian personal laws are a thorny issue that has created a divide between human rights groups and the Catholic Church. Activists advocate amendments to the Christian Marriage Act of 1872 and Christian Divorce Act of 1869. perhaps a little out of date, which legalise marriages between 16-year-old boys and 13-year-old girls, thus conflicting with regional customs. 2 of Pakistan's 5 provinces, Sindh and Punjab, have passed laws prohibiting child marriage, although Punjab allows girls to be married at 16, while Sindh has a minimum age of 18. Section 10 of the Christian Divorce Act allows husbands to prove adultery as the only reason for dissolution of a Christian marriage. However, the Christian wife could petition for divorce if her husband changes religion, marries another woman, becomes guilty of incestuous adultery or rape, sodomy or bestiality, or deserts without reasonable excuse for 2 years or upwards. Furthermore, a non-Muslim marriage can be invalidated if one of the 2 parties converts to Islam. Both government and church committees have been negotiating for decades to update the laws relating to Christian conjugal conflicts. In February, Human Rights Minister Shireen Mazari announced that the draft of a new bill to address laws governing marriage and divorce has been finalised. The draft law was completed after 150 rounds of consultations conducted by the Ministry of Human Rights with various churches and Christian leaders. It has been with the Ministry of Law and Justice for more than 2 years. In July, the National Lobbying Delegation of Minority Activists urged government to submit it to Parliament for consideration and adoption. The absence of a cohesive, codified personal law system for minorities in Pakistan leaves members of these communities vulnerable and without adequate legal relief for many family and marriage-related matters, claims the Karachi-based Legal Aid Society. An inability to attain legal proof and documentation on marital and personal status provides difficulties for several religious minorities, especially their women, who face serious challenges in remarrying, divorcing, separating, adopting or even travelling abroad, stated the Legal Needs Assessment Survey published last week. There is also ambivalence regarding the divorce and dissolution laws, with many women from non-Muslim communities explaining how men from their community are afforded more rights through this colonial-era legislation than they are. Women must overcome all these legal and institutional disadvantages and obstacles to seek the legal recourse they need for domestic issues, so that they can receive a sufficient alimony to simply survive in an economy that does not value divorced women, much less divorced women from non-Muslim communities. On October the 26th, Archbishop Joseph Arshad blessed the new ecclesiastical tribunal for nullity of marriage cases in Islamabad Rawalpindi Diocese. A team of 5 priests, 3 of them canonists, took oaths as the tribunal's personnel. This is the first time we've had an office and a proper set-up in the diocese, which is celebrating its Platinum Jubilee. Many cases were delayed, says the article, and people used other tactics, such as converting to Islam, creating a negative impression of the church. Our aim is to save family life, which is a gift of God, and facilitate people, said Father Kamran Yunus, the tribunal's notary. Christians, says the article, should give priority to the laws of the Bible. Using them for personal benefits results in disaster. Even in cases of adultery, we prefer bringing them back to goodness. Our office is still a new concept. We plan to educate catechists and priests about how to file the petitions and get quick information. So we're going to help them to become divorce strategists. Father Abbas appreciated the initiative. Such an office is still lacking in Karachi, the largest city of Pakistan. Archbishop Travers deals with such cases alone or delegates other priests. We prefer the term separation, he said. Peter Jacob, the Catholic director of the Centre for Social Justice, urged other dioceses to set up tribunals. It's a welcome step and a good beginning. Competent people, including at least one lay competent lawyer, should be part of the tribunals to avoid unnecessary delays and complications in civil courts. It will also clear the road on reconciliation more than the ordinary courts can do, he said. The draft law on Christian personal law should have large ownership. It is a matter of justice and law above theological interpretations. Different interpretations can't cultivate a consensus. It should be done in accordance with universal principles of justice. And now to the other end of the scale, Grazia. When it comes to airing divorce dirty laundry online, what's the protocol when a friend dates your ex-husband? Now, some of you may have some comments on this. Please do feel free to share them. After Ian Griffith went Instagram official with his ex-wife's friend, Alice Evans took to Twitter to accuse them of having a 3-year affair. So, she says, it turns out that my husband, after 2 years of telling me I'm a bad person, I'm not exciting, and he no longer wants to have sex with me, and he just wants to be on set abroad, has been in a relationship for 3 years behind all our backs. Good luck, Bianca, she says. This was the tweet posted by actor Alice Evans. The same day, her ex-husband, Ian Griffith, went Instagram official with his new girlfriend and former friend Alice, Bianca Wallace. Former friend of Alice, Bianca Wallace. It spawned a storm of Twitter reactions, some showing empathy for Alice, others attacking her for taking the scandal online. According to Alice, who has been married to Ian for 22 years until January this year, when they separated, filing for divorce in February, the couple had been seeing each other for 3 years. She claims the pair have been having an affair long before they went Instagram official, with only Bianca's friend coming to her defence online claiming this is untrue. Both Ian and Bianca have not yet spoken publicly on the claims. I have personally known Bianca for years, and they have not even known each other for 3 years, let alone had an affair, wardrobe assistant Amy Douglas, who works on Ian's TV show Harrow, posted on Twitter. I'm also her friend, and I know they didn't. As I said, they didn't even speak to each other until the end of season 3. Don't buy into these lies you're being fed. You totally and absolutely know that they started seeing each other before he told me he didn't love me and wanted a divorce, Alice replied. If you want to get into this, we can, but spitting on the victim isn't a great look. That was just one of a series of exchanges Alice has had online since posting her tweet last night, some positive, others markedly negative. Now many have told her to stop taking this situation to social media, but according to Alice, it's helping her heal. Guys, thank you so much for allowing me to talk and work all this out with you, she said this morning. Lone and Ian and I have been together for 22 years, and not a day has gone by without without talking to each other. What I found out today ripped my heart out. Twitter has allowed me to get a sense of what is wrong and what is right. I know a lot of you felt I was embarrassing myself by discussing it publicly, but try to understand how much that helped me, as did all of you with all your amazing thoughts. Her words begged the question, is publicly airing your relationship issues or marriage fallout the right or wrong thing to do? What do you think? This is the bit where I have to say I'm not that keen on what she's doing. While some point to her how her children, of which her and I don't know if it's Ian or Lone, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but I'm going to call him Ian, have 2 daughters aged 12 and 8, might react to seeing this online. Others claim Alice is embarrassing herself by tweeting so profusely about her despair. But in a society where everything is shared online, is posting about your relationship troubles or heartache really that different to posting the highs of your relationship? Good question. What do you think? We consider certain behaviours post-breakup embarrassing when done publicly. Sadness, anger, jealousy. But they're all emotions we experience, stages you go through to move on from any heartache, particularly those involving betrayal. We tell people to hide those parts of themselves, said the article, to not air their dirty laundry, as if they should be embarrassed by the fact that they've been cheated on or care deeply about another human being leaving them. Our value rests on taking the high road, on not appearing too hurt or moving on with dignity, but all that does is embed the idea that sharing our darkest emotions with others is somehow wrong, that someone else having power over emotions makes us weak. In actuality, experiencing real pain after a breakup is just life, and a part we shouldn't shy away from. In the social media age, being open about your grief, how hard marriage breakdowns can be, and clearly caring very little about whether someone deems you embarrassing is actually quite brave. It might not be how you would react post-breakup, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. The article claims it certainly shouldn't result in a pile-on for Alice or presumptuousness trolling of Ian or Bianca. As with all celebrity marriage breakdowns, we only see a window of what someone's relationship and divorce was really like. And while Alice has invited us to share in her pain on this occasion, respecting the wishes of all parties is vital. Perhaps if we as a collective did that more often, a celebrity getting real about their hurt post-divorce wouldn't seem so controversial. Grazia has reached out for comment from Ian Griffith and Bianca Wallace. I don't think they've had anything back. Whatever you think, please do share, but I I feel the article's being a little bit light on the fact that this isn't her healing. This is her just having a real go, and they do have children who can read. So I do believe you shouldn't not put your personal feelings out and share it with your followers. I don't see that's a problem, but she's not just giving her personal feelings, she is attacking, and that's a very different thing in my opinion, and certainly not really helpful for the co-parenting. What do you think? So to something a bit more sane and calm, we're going to introduce now Susan Cowe-Miller, who is our expert interview for tonight. Hello Susan, and welcome. You're a regular on the show, but we're going to talk about something very interesting today that I don't think we've really talked about with you before, because you do a lot of work, don't you, with women's health and reproductive health.
I do that, but I'd just like to add for a moment, I thoroughly enjoyed your last bit about airing dirty linen. Very interesting, because 10 years after my marriage broke up, I wrote a book about it. But I think hers was probably a knee-jerk. I had 2 children as well, and that was always my concern. But it was very therapeutic 10 years later, because it's got lots of other things in as well. That's not really a plug for the book, but I found it very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and I agree. I think it's good to get these things out, but there is a difference between expressing your pain and having a go. And there's a line there, and I'm not sure that the article writer was kind of making that clear. But on reproductive health, I was really interested to talk with you about this today, because I've had cases with women who are getting divorced, and they've had eggs taken out and put into a safe place, and they want to keep them. They don't want to give them up with a divorce. So there's elements around the rights to that, but also as divorce settlement, should you be asking for the money to keep them frozen for the next 10 years, for example, in case you do want to have children. And my thought is, actually, I think that sounds very reasonable, but it's a tricky area, and you work with, but there's so much stress around it, even if it's not involved in a divorce. So perhaps you can share with us some of the work that you've been doing. So because of the stress work that you do, of course, it's not, you don't just have to be around reproductive health, but it's a pretty intense experience. So it's a good example of the way you work with people.
Yes, I've had experience to do with sperm samples, frozen sperm, to do with reproductive and infertility, potential pregnancy. What do you do? How do you make your decision? The situation I dealt with was a couple in their 30s. The husband was diagnosed with a brain tumour, and they didn't have any children. They thought it would be safer. They'd asked the advice. This is all to do with stress and what do you do? What's the best thing? They asked the specialists, will my husband become sterile? The answer was, there's a potential. So they did freeze 6 samples. He did become sterile, and I don't have to watch, because I'm very safe with what I'm going to be saying. I've had a great testimonial, and they needed to have these samples. I came on board when they'd had 3 failed attempts with IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, and they were deciding that the young woman would go through IVF, which is recommended, but it's an extremely stressful experience. There's so much involved with IVF, for example, everything, if you can imagine.
There's hormones, isn't there? A lot of the hormones, I've been told that you get to have a lot of hormones, and it can make your mood changes and be really, really difficult.
Yeah, Well, the long and the short of it is that I worked with the young woman, and I'm going to take some credit for this because she's now pregnant.
Yes. Well done.
So, but that samples, sperm samples, eggs, frozen eggs, what do you do? One might imagine that you wouldn't want to use those eggs, but of course it depends on your age. It depends on everything that you're formulating and going through. The also to do with hormones and trying to get this subject back to divorce. How much I'm not suggesting that it's all female, that I'm siding with the females, absolutely not. But hormones and in relationship, perimenopausal and menopausal, how does that balance relationships? You know, I work with all that kind of thing. I work with reproductive health, and actually, I'm doing well, Susie. Thank you. Right at the moment, I'm promoting a program I've been working on for a very long time. It's called Mind, Body and Balance, Healing Reproductive Health. Anything to do with reproductive, anything to do with chronic health, if your mind is not in the correct place, if you're stressed, if you're emotionally feeling imbalanced, if you're troubled with negative emotions, blocked beliefs, all these things need to be addressed so that you're calm and receptive.
Yeah, especially if you want to get pregnant.
Especially if you
Yeah.
want to get pregnant, otherwise there's too many blockers in the way.
Could you give a couple of examples of, or even one example of how your course works? Because presumably this is something where they don't get to come and sit in a room with you.
At the moment, this is part of which is going to be a bigger program, a one-to-one. At the moment, this is not a one-to-one. It's 6 pre-recorded master classes, and I offer proven techniques. I'm a health coach as well, to do with the lifestyle prescriptions and chronic health. And the program is ideal for women who have suffered miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, infertility, but then endometriosis and fallopian tube problems. And then it's genital health. And if I may say, when people are having relationship problems within a marriage, potentially, and everyone's different, everyone has their own unique chronic symptom if they unfortunately have a chronic symptom, but relationships and sexual stress or fears or anxieties can lead to genital skin problems, which are certainly not discussed openly, and lots of the negative beliefs that someone can suffer are absolutely unfounded, but one cannot help to have these beliefs. Herpes, for example, is one which everyone assumes. See, that's me generalizing with a bold statement, that someone's been hyper promiscuous. Absolutely not. It's to do with the autoimmune system. So that's what my program's about. I love it, and I'm excited about it.
So people often say during divorce strategy sessions, my last question is always, how are you? Usually when people go very quiet for a bit, but actually if you don't look after your stress levels and your mindset, you can get ill, and you won't necessarily realise that illness or that inability to conceive is going to be the root cause. So yes. Can you give us just a little example in the masterclass of what kind of thing would people be experiencing? Are they just watching a video, or do they have to interact?
They're watching a video. They're certainly interacting. They're interacting for 3/4 of each hour segment. I'm teaching them various, for each of this. There's 6 episodes, and each one there's clean language, there's heart maths, there's EFT, there's there's a lot. 50% of the 6 exercises can be EFT. Of the videos have EFT because it's so good at reducing stress. But I go into different aspects of the stress. It can be their feeling of unhappiness, but then we can go into the feelings of how their reproductive organ is speaking to them. So we're developing it. It's not just the same thing. And as I said, there's clean language and heart math. There's something else that's escaping me just now. That's oh yes, values. I do a lot of coaching to do with values and what they're looking for in life, what their expectations are, what their blocked beliefs that need reduced are. But it's moving forward. What do you want from life? What are you waiting for?
To round off, you mentioned earlier that a lady that it was all right to speak about her case because she'd given a great testimonial. So what was the results that she got that she's happy for you to share?
Well, I'm going to quote from a piece of paper. She said, I was struggling to manage my anxiety. I had lack of control to do with any of the medications I was on, and I needed to feel safe and secure. I started to look for things to do. I knew I needed to find things to help me because I was having beliefs or thoughts of I'm not ready to be a mother, perhaps. What happens if I end up on my own? I've had 2 failed cycles already. I'm just not good enough for this to work. I mean, she wrote that in her testimonial. But it turned around. We worked with the negative beliefs. We worked from other, earlier memories, which were a lot of our stuff is earlier memories, which gets in the way of life when we're an adult. So she was in a happier, more contented space, and she did her homework. So that's really important. You have to be ready to do the work and to practice and to do it as a matter of course. If you have an aim at the end, you have to do the work. She was ready.
And the end result for her was?
The end result is that she's pregnant. She must be about 12 weeks now, maybe a bit more.
Excellent.
And I'm going to take some credit for that. Maybe not a lot, but I'm certainly going to take some credit. Why not?
Absolutely. No, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Susan. And please do, when I send you the links later, put in the comments on the different platforms links to that information so people can find out more. And I'll see you later for the healing. Very interesting how this whole reproductive side, because the stress of the divorce, and of course you're carrying that into the next relationship. So if you're stressed, talk to Susan. And because this Friday is very much there's a focus on the ecological and climate emergency that we are most definitely in. Massive flooding in the Lake District today, and more to come, no doubt. So how can you be greener in your divorce? So I had a little think, and I came up with 3 things straight away that you can do, which would be great if all of us did, but definitely you've got an opportunity to do this when you're divorcing. One is pensions. So you're looking again at pensions. You might be splitting pensions. Even if you're not, even if your pension is staying perfectly intact, there's lots and lots of pension companies now who have divested from fossil fuels. They're doing the right thing voluntarily, and probably because they've realised that long term maybe fossil fuels are not such a good idea. So but there's still a lot who haven't. So ask those questions when you talk to your pensions advisor. Say, how can I make this greener? Let's do this while we're at it. That would be a really, really good thing to do. If all divorcing people dealing with pensions did that, that would actually cumulatively encourage all the other pension companies who haven't been bothered to change to get their act into gear. Because unfortunately the government haven't yet made it mandatory to do that, and it should be good if they would. But in the meanwhile, it's down to us, as usual. Bank accounts. So you're often going to be creating new bank accounts, changing your bank accounts. I recently cut up my blue card and my grey card because both of those banks love spending millions and millions investing in fossil fuels, though they won't tell you that on their website. And there aren't that many, but I found Starling Bank, I'm sure they won't mind me saying this here, Triodos is very ethical. They have a card that is actually biodegradable. And Nationwide Building Society, so that's in the UK. Hopefully in America there are some too. So seek out, it's so easy to switch. They move all your direct debits for you. You do it on your app. It's just so easy. So again, while you're sorting all this stuff out, take the opportunity. And finally, avoid court. Now, I don't think anyone's done a study yet on the cost of just the amount of paper that's involved in a long court case compared to popping along online possibly with your mediation and just sorting it out, and there's got to be a huge difference there. So by simply keeping it out of court, apart from all the myriad of other benefits, you could also be saving the planet at the same time. So we've got our shared story now all the way from USA. Now, welcome to Tommy.
Susie, how are you doing?
Welcome back. Lovely to hear your dulcet tones. Now, remind us, where in America are you?
I am in Denver, Colorado, which is a beautiful state. Folks from across the pond, come on over, visit. You get to see mountains. We still, even in this month of October, we still haven't seen any snow. Lower elevation, so hello, Colorado.
Sounds beautiful. Have you been saved the ravages of forest fires and flooding and tornadoes which have beset so many other parts of the states over the last few years? Is it quite a calm place to be weather-wise?
It depends what day it is. A couple of years ago, we set a record for the quickest jump from high to lows. We went from like 90 degrees to the next day we had a blizzard. So when people say there's no such thing as climate change, come to Colorado. You'll see it.
or anywhere at the moment, it seems.
Yeah.
And you're blending the family. I can see the sign in the background. So for those who haven't met you before, and before you share your story, just remind us what the work that you're doing there with helping families to be better blended families.
So Blending Family is also the name of the podcast I do every week. Susie, you've been on the podcast before, and I feel that this is the only way we communicate, Susie. We need to go offline and just have a conversation besides our wonderful shows. So blendingthefamily.com, you can find me there where I've got writings. I've got a new book coming out. So that's the world of Tommy and Blending the Family.
And what's the story you're going to share with us today?
So it's somewhat apropos. You were talking about the Twitter where people are airing their dirty laundry, and I was actually having a conversation today with a fellow coach, and she and I were talking about as far as when being a former ex-husband and having to write an email to our former spouse and not using or maybe using a little too much colorful language. And so what her and I were talking about is making sure you have somebody editing your emails, making sure that somebody else looks at them before you send them, because it could ruin a weekend. And what I mean by that is when my son is now 18, he's in university, but if I had sent my former spouse an email, a nasty email, that could really ruin the weekend. So again, one of the things I've had to learn, and luckily my wife now in the past was my editor for those emails going back to my former spouse, as far as co-parenting. I mean, co-parenting isn't about who's the better parent, it's about the children. And the story is I was really bad. I would send out emails in the heat of the moment versus taking a step back and just reading what I wrote and then saying, maybe I shouldn't send this out because of the tone. And as we all know, as adults, uh, especially in corporate America, if we send an email out or even a text, the person on the other side might interpret it differently. And so the thing I've learned as a former spouse is to make sure that somebody is looking at that email before you hit send, because I've gotten myself into nasty, nasty waters in my past with my former spouse.
It's so easily done, and to be fair to Alice Evans, with her upset is that she says that her daughter saw learned about what was going on via Instagram, but it just does seem that it doesn't quite add up for me, because she definitely there's no, even if he was seeing that her friend beforehand, which would be very upsetting, it's surely she's making it far more traumatic for her daughter going on and on about it. It's just, yeah. and it may even not be true, but she's just decided it is. So it do you see this with the work you do, that sometimes parents are just so angry and so upset that they use their excuse as how upset the children is, but they don't seem to notice that they're the ones doing most of the upsetting.
One of the first consultations I had with my lawyer was, make sure you don't put anything on social media, because the other attorney will be able to get that. And I learned that they actually went through my LinkedIn profile to make sure that I had not disparaged my former spouse. So it's interesting, because your previous guest, Susan Miller, talking about, she put information in a book, but it was after the fact. And it is one of those situations where her book is probably helping others. But when you're in the moment, I'm not a fan of airing the dirty laundry, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's a fine line. But like you say, the best advice you've given is have somebody else check what you're going to send, and find somebody who's not bitter and twisted and angry against their own episode. Very, very important. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And for the podcast, you're going to be putting a link to that, aren't you, when I send you the links later, so people can find the podcast?
Yes,
excellent.
I will. Yes.
And have you got any good episodes coming up that you want to share?
They're all good, Susie.
They're all
Come
good.
On. Therefore they're all
it is.
Good.
They are awesome. They're awesome. Brilliant. Thank you so much, and I'll hopefully have you back on the show soon. Bye for now, Tommy.
Thanks, Susie.
So listen to the podcast is a great podcast, and even when I'm not on it. So what we have here, the tiles in bestwaytodivorce.online will just take you to the App Store. If you haven't downloaded the app and you're in any phase of divorce or co-parenting, it's a useful thing to have, and it's free to download. And the one I wanted to just point out today was it's actually the Divorce One-to-One Support one, and that's where there's different options of having a bit of me. And the reason I brought it up was because I had a lovely gentleman contact me recently. He'd actually been on a workshop in the past, he'd been in the secret divorce group, then he's like, I'm fine now, and he left and off he went. And then I got a call, and it's not unusual, there's this gap, and sometimes everything's fine and other times it's just not happening. They seem to be spending a lot of money on legal fees. Things aren't moving forwards. And I said to him, that's why I really encourage people to stay in the support group until it's really finished, because you think it's all fine and the next thing you know it's not. So he's actually going to have a one-to-one session with me to put him back on track. But and that's great for me. But for those who stay in the group, make use of the free session once a month where I do a group Zoom session. I'm doing one tonight, in fact, after the show, and where they have the chat available. What we try to do with that is a very, very low cost and free for the first 30 days is to help keep people out of that situation where they're tearing their hair out and thinking, I don't know what to do next. So I just wanted to highlight that one. Now we're preparing for meditation, just what I need. And I'm going to bring you in now, Susan. And what we can do, we can do some form of meditation.
Yes, it's a beautiful opportunity of white light healing meditation.
Lovely. I shall give you the floor.
Thank you. Oh my, I see the floor. Hello everyone, and thank you for choosing to gift yourself this time, sharing with me as we benefit from a beautiful white light healing meditation. Give yourself this opportunity, and please make sure you're comfortable. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. It's up to you. Become aware of your breathing, observing your breath, and becoming aware of your body from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. And be aware of any sensations in your body. Begin to gently relax. Sense your face muscles relaxing, the muscles around your eyes and your scalp. Sense a comforting, calm feeling flowing down through your whole body. And I'm going to ask you to please imagine that you're in a beautiful, tranquil garden. See yourself there now. A beautiful garden. Choose which season you're in. Fresh green spring garden, a beautiful flower-filled garden, or an autumnal garden where the leaves are changing and blowing about in the wind. A garden filled with trees and plants and flowers. Take time now to explore this tranquil space and use all your senses to bring in a stronger picture. See it, smell what's going on, visualize it. Bring in the beautiful colours. Hear sounds. Birds singing, leaves rustling. A special garden. A sanctuary from your busy life. A sanctuary from a stressed or challenging scenario that's going on in your life. This is a time for you. Feel yourself being filled with a deep sense of peace in your mind and in your body as you feel yourself relaxing in this beautiful space, this beautiful garden. And now begin to visualize a beautiful ball of white light. A ball of white light above your forehead, and feel this light vibrating above you. And now begin to allow this light, the healing aspect of the light, to grow in size until it gently but completely surrounds you. Feel cocooned and safe in its warm, healing light. Take in the sense of this white light filling your aura with its healing rays. Take this opportunity to allow healing. Feel the white light sinking into your body, filling every part of you, spreading down past your forehead, behind your eyes, relaxing you even more. Sense the light spreading and flowing down your neck, completely relaxing the muscles in your neck and throat. begin to relax even more as the white light spreads over your shoulders and down both arms, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Imagine the light flowing down your back, your chest, into your heart space. See your heart pumping the light into every vessel in your body. The light flows through your spinal cord, from your brain down your spine, flowing through your nervous system to reach every single muscle and cell in your body. You feel deeply peaceful, profoundly relaxed, perhaps more than you could have thought possible. The light now flows into soft tissue organs, hips, into your thighs. The light flows into your knees. Your knees are the first part of your body which moves you forward. Allow your knees to feel this feeling. It'll help you with everything that you're moving forward with in life. Positivity. Then down your calves to your feet. You're completely filled with this wondrous, bright light. Focus on your heart space. Your heart gently opens to this warm, healing light. Feel your heart being filled with love for yourself. And you're opening your heart space to the universal power. Opening yourself to the healing power of the universe. Feel that gentle energy flow through you as you open up the channels to love and to this healing energy. Bring your attention to any particular part of you that needs the extra help today. Any part of your mind, your body, your soul, which needs healing. Surround that point with this gentle, powerful, white light. And feel this intense light healing any illness or sadness or grief. Surrender and allow this feeling. Every cell of your body filled with this wonderful energy, permitting you to feel happy, offering you vibrant, good health. Your body returning to health and well-being. And now, very gently, allow the white light to leave your body and shrink to the small ball above your head. Watch it slowly disappear. But so importantly, know that its healing power is yours to call upon at any time. It's truly yours. Feel relaxed, ready to face the world. Take a deeper breath. Gently begin to move your body, little tiny stretches. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, Susan. That's delicious. In the war of divorce, on the battlefield of family separation, always make peace your weapon of choice.